Churches are supposed to be holy places, but did you know that there are tons of haunted churches? Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. I'm your host Emily, and today we're counting down our list of the top 10 haunted church photos you've never seen before. Coming in at number 10 is Church of Christ the Consoler. The Spectre of Newby Church is the name given to a figure found in a photograph taken in the Church of Christ the Consoler on the grounds of Newby Hall in North Yorkshire, United Kingdom. The image was taken in 1963 by the Reverend Kenneth F. Lord. As the figure appears to resemble a human, much speculation has been had regarding what type of person might be in the image. Most speculation by believers has concluded that it resembles a 16th century monk with a white shroud over his face, possibly to mask leprosy or another disfigurement. Others believe it looks like a plague doctor from the 16th and 17th centuries. No initial claims suggested that the figure would measure up to be 9 feet tall, but its feet are not visible, so it could easily be standing on a box, giving the impression of height. Now, some people thought the photo was due to double exposure, but photographic experts have concluded that the image is not the result of double exposure. So what was it and why was it in the church? No one truly knows, but it's extremely frightening. Number 9. St. Andrew's on the Red. St. Andrew's on the Red Church, Manitoba holds the distinction of being the oldest stone church still operating in Western Canada. The church was built between 1845 and 1849, so I mean, no wonder it's haunted. One of the most well-known hauntings is a woman in white, who many claim died during the construction of the church and is now seen in the graveyard. People have also seen a man in black lurking in the graveyard, as well as a phantom car that suddenly appears and then disappears into the night. There's also a pair of red eyes that seem to float between the headstones. Yeah, that's a no for me. Now, these hauntings don't happen exclusively at nighttime, oh no. Even during the day, paranormal investigators have heard the sound of nails being driven into a coffin. Now, arguably the most unsettling story that comes out of St. Andrew's on the Red is that people often have nightmares after a paranormal encounter at the church. Those who have seen the red eyes, the woman in white, or the man in black all reported having vivid nightmares for days or even weeks after the encounter. The sound of chains rattling against the locked cemetery gates is one of the common themes in these nightmares. Now, after hearing all these stories, I'm still shocked that people go there. Number 8. Most Holy Trinity Church. Constructed between 1882 and 1885, Most Holy Trinity Church in Brooklyn, along with its adjoining school and rectory, is believed to be extremely haunted. In 1897, church sexton George Seltz had his life ended in the church, but whoever was responsible was never caught. Since then, a bloody handprint has occasionally appeared on the wall leading up to the bell tower. Casual. Now, the school was built in 1887 on the site of the church's graveyard. Now, although all the bodies were said to have been moved to a different location, ghostly activity makes some suspect that a few bodies remain beneath the school. And I mean, why would you ever think to build a school over a graveyard anyway? People have seen the lights in the gymnasium turn on and off by themselves for years, and heard footsteps when the gym is empty. The rectory is also the site of paranormal activity, and the bedroom formerly used by Monsignor Michael May, who died in 1895, is rarely used due to his ghost making noises in the room throughout the night. Number 7. St. Bartholomew's Church. The construction of St. Bartholomew the Great Church began in 1112. It said a monk and a Norman courier named Rahir were responsible for receiving the land and funds from King Henry I to build the church. A number of deaths and executions took place on the ground of the church. Now, today, several resident ghosts and unnamed entities reside within the church walls. The Duke of Argyll, the painter William Hogarth, and the apparition of a priest have been seen in the church. There's also a white mist that appears in the center aisle of St. Bart's, and some reports indicate the mist forms into the shape of a woman. Now, this positive energy is countered by a black mist that is also seen in the church and is thought to be residual negative energy of all the violence seen at St. Bart's. The church's most famous ghost is Rahir himself. The monk has been seen wandering the church, supposedly looking for his foot, which was allegedly stolen from his crypt centuries after his death. It's also said that his ghost appears on the first day of every July at 7 a.m. Number 6. St. Louis Cathedral. Located in the French Quarter of New Orleans, St. Louis Cathedral is the oldest cathedral in the United States still in use. The first version was constructed in 1718, and the final versions of the cathedral was completed in the 1850s. Now, due to its long history, St. Louis Cathedral has become home to a number of spirits. Now, one of the most famous ghosts to haunt the cathedral is Père Antoine, who served there as a priest from 1774 until his death in 1829. Père Antoine famously baptized Marie Laveau, the voodoo queen of New Orleans, and later performed the marriage to her first husband. Antoine's spirit has been seen walking through an alleyway outside the church named after him while quietly sitting and looking through the stained glass windows. The first recorded sighting of Antoine's ghost was in 1924. Other ghosts include Pierre Antoine's predecessor, Pierre Dagbert, the pirate Jean Lafitte, and even the infamous Delphine Lalaurie. Number 5. St. Mary's Catholic Church. St. Mary's Catholic Church was built in 1845 and is the oldest extant church in Nashville. Now, there are 3 ghost rumors to haunt this church and its grounds. One story is about a priest who died during construction of the church. Another story claims that during a civil war, a Catholic priest serving as a chaplain for the Confederate Army was shot and died in the church. There is another rumor that the ghost is the spirit of Bishop Richard P.S. Mills, who died in 1860. He was buried in the church basement and supposedly still haunts his own stomping grounds. According to a story from 1937, a pounding at his bedroom door woke up a priest in the rectory, but he could find no one there. After he fell asleep, he was woken again, this time by a pounding on the headboard of his bed. There was no one in the room, so he blamed the old bishop. Number 4. St. Nicholas Church. Located in Kent, England, the village of Puckenley is considered one of the most haunted villages in England. Perhaps the most notably haunted site in St. Nicholas Church, which dates back to 1090 CE. Perhaps the most notably haunted site is St. Nicholas Church, which dates back to 1090 CE. A number of expansions and renovations have been made to the church over the years, and its long history lends itself to hauntings. Inside the church, an orb of light has been seen near the crypt of the Deering family, who oversaw the village for centuries. Knocking has also been heard coming from the crypt, and some have witnessed a spirit known as the White Lady, who is thought to be one of the members of the Deering family buried there. Now, outside the church, the apparition of the Red Lady has been seen in the churchyard along with a dog. During a paranormal investigation in the 1970s, it's believed those carrying out the investigation were visited by a ghost dog. Number 3. The First Church of Christ Scientist. In 1918, a young woman was seen pacing the steps of the First Church of Christ Scientist located in Louisville, Kentucky. More than a century later, it said her ghost is still seen pacing and sobbing during the night. Now, this ghost is known as the Lady of the Stairs, or Miss G. It's believed that Miss G was a member of the prominent Gathright family, and that her parents attempted to marry her to a much older man after she graduated from high school. However, Miss G had already fallen in love with a young man who was fighting in World War I. After the war, the soldier, who is believed to be Herbert Fulton Dixon, returned to Louisville, and the young couple planned to leave town and get married in Chicago. The night they were to leave, Miss G went on the steps of the First Church of the Christ Scientist, where she and Dixon regularly met. Sadly, Dixon never showed up, and a passerby saw a distressed Miss G pacing on the steps of the church. As it turned out, Dixon had come down with the Spanish flu and was unable to make it to the church, but the news never made it to Miss G. In a matter of days, both Dixon and Miss G had died from the flu, and Miss G's spirit has been seen on the church step ever since. Number 2. St. Mark's Episcopal Church. St. Mark's Episcopal Church is Wyoming's oldest church, having been built in 1868. Now, during the construction of St. Mark's, 2 Swedish immigrants were hired to complete the masonry for the church's bell tower. The foundation for the bell tower goes 15 feet into the ground and stands 60 feet tall with 4-foot thick walls. Now, as the 2 men worked, one fell to his death in the basement of the bell tower. The other man, fearing no one would believe that the fall was an accident, buried the man within the walls of the bell tower before fleeing the state. Yep, he thought that was the best solution. In the 1920s, the bell tower was finally completed, but construction workers said they heard a disembodied voice saying, "There is a body in the wall." Now, the church rector believed that the bell tower was haunted and even had a special room built in the tower for the man's ghost. People have continued to report hearing the voices of a Swedish Manson in the years since the bell tower's completion. And no wonder. If I was that man, I would haunt the church too. And coming in at number 1 is St. Mary's Guide Hall. On January 22nd, 1985, the Coventry Freeman organization and their guests stood in prayer during a dinner event. All the guests were still, and as it was a dark room, the photographer probably thought it would be the perfect time to allow for a longer than usual exposure to get enough light into the picture, which makes sense. Now, nothing was out of the ordinary at the time, but as people started to see the print of the picture, a mystery surfaced. Who was the robed figure standing near the end of one of the tables? No one had dressed up for the event, and no one remembers anyone standing there as they stood for prayer. Now, the figure also seems to be taking part in the prayer, head slightly bowed, hands clasped in front. Coventry, Warwickshire is where the event was hosted, and it has many legends of ghosts and paranormal activity, but I wonder why this being decided to join in the prayer. Well, that's all for our list of the top 10 haunted church photos you've never seen before. Which church in our list freaks you out the most? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. I'm your host Emily, and we'll see you next time. Peace.